up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Beautiful people here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Coffee Club. As you guys see in the chat, you got all your friends there. That is the Coffee Club. Ooh, I don't like... Ooh, let me turn that off. That was autofocus. We do not like autofocus. Autofocus must be turned off. Okay, sorry about that. I do not like autofocus. All right, autofocus has been turned off. It's nice to see everybody. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover true crime. We're going to be going over the case of Nancy Guthrie. Obviously, we've had some updates that came out since last night. We know we were looking at a deadline related to this case. This case had a major deadline on it. Let me make sure I am paused on both sides here. Okay, I am. Perfect. Perfect. So, good morning, guys. So go ahead and grab your cup of coffee. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We're covering the case of Nancy Guthrie, and we cover true crime. Right now, as the sun creeps over the Tucson cacti, we're diving into a chilling abduction of Nancy Guthrie, or are we? Because the abductors, it sounds like, never provided proof of life and have never contacted the family again. Savannah Guthrie, a well-known host on the Today Show, her mother, her 84-year-old mother, allegedly was snatched from her home in the dead of night. January 31st, she had dinner with family. She was back before 10. Then nothing. Everything seemed normal. Then blood on the porch, missing camera, pacemaker signal dead at 2:28, and of course, the $6 million Bitcoin ransom deadline. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. We're even learning more about the ransom. The 2 deadlines. One was for Friday at 5 p.m. for $4 million, and the one last night was for $6 million. And it just expired with zero proof of life. Is this a cartel hit, a celebrity targeted snatch, or something darker brewing in Arizona? Was she taken alive? I think that's the biggest question of all. Will the Guthries pay? So far, it seems like the account remains empty. So stick around. We're unpacking the timeline, social media theories, and why cops are racing against the clock. Plus, we've got a new statement from the sheriff that says, hey, guys, we got new leads, and there's going to be an uptick in personnel at both Guthrie's residence. So that is the start. Good morning, folks. It is ridiculously early, and if you wonder why I'm coming this ridiculously early, and it already sucks because we've lost a half an hour of our programming due to technical issues, I will take time today. I've got a meeting today, all day today, but I will not be present there physically. And so while I'm listening to that meeting and taking notes, I'm going to work on trying to get our new equipment hooked up. Okay, we've got it. We had it partially ways hooked up, but obviously this was a kick in the butt this morning to get the stuff done. I just need to find a memory card. I got to pull some stuff out, get the proper memory card in the camera, and we're going to be on a new camera. We're going to be on a new system. We're going to be on new technology running. We should have done this weeks ago, but this case broke and I had to stop what I'm doing and dive into this case. So we'll get that working out. Hopefully we'll get that up and running by tomorrow morning. That would be great, huh? So Nancy Guthrie is an 84-year-old mom of the Today Show. I'm going to go ahead and put this timeline up. This is a timeline behind me. If you guys can't see that, over on this side here, we have the whole timeline. But this is just a little bit better for you guys that are looking at it from your screen. If you're on your camera or your phone, if you're on your computer, or if you're on the TV, you can see this pretty clearly. So let's go over this just a little bit. Again, Nancy Guthrie is the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. She disappeared from her Tucson, Arizona home. And they've got listed as January 31st, but I don't believe, I guess it could be, but it appears that she was removed technically from the home on February 1st. This is sparking a high-profile abduction investigation now into its second week with ransom demands and no suspects. Authorities treat her residence as a crime scene amid evidence like blood droplets, missing doorbell camera, and a bunch of fueling speculation that could escalate to a homicide if no proof of life emerges. And right now, so far, no proof of life has emerged. So going over this timeline that you see in front of your face, we see that Nancy leaves in an Uber to go to her daughter's house for dinner and games, allegedly. Allegedly. I'm going to say that because we don't know what happened. Now, she returned home about 9:48, and the garage closes for its final time, it sounds like, at 9:50. And that's it. Everything else so far during this time seems normal. I'm interested in what the phone picks up, what her cell phone actually picks up. Okay. Now on February 1st, the doorbell stops. Motion detected at 2:12 a.m. And then at 2:28, her pacemaker disconnects and disconnects for forever. Many believe that this is when she's physically removed from the home and drove away, because remember, there's some type of signal still going on. So she had to be removed from that house for it to disconnect from her phone and Apple Watch. Was the Apple Watch ripped off her arm? Did she sleep with it, or was it on a charger? That's an important detail. So around noon on February 1st, which is that Sunday, and again, this really causes us a little bit of heartburn because we had been told for solid weeks, well, I guess days, technically days, that they received a call from a church attendee that their mom had not attended church. And that's what fueled them to go check on her. Well, we're finding out that she went to online church. Who the heck would have noticed her missing from online church? So the family went over there and they ended up calling law enforcement within a few minutes. But there was no changes of how we went from 11 to them arriving at 12. What happened? What changed? And why did they not express to the people? Is Tony in the chat? Good morning, Tony. It's nice to see you. Why didn't the people express express what the change was? I mean, a whole hour from what we were told for days, right? Days. So that's the problem. By February 3rd, we knew that the DNA outside that front door, outside of her front door, we knew that was hers. It came back as her blood. So we know the spray was her blood. We know the little droplets around there was her blood. I tell you, to me, it feels like somebody was assaulted right there. Not that she was carried out, because somebody said, there was that spraying. Somebody said, well, maybe that was her falling. And even if that was her falling, I was thinking about it. It wouldn't give that spray, that force. So I don't know what would do that, but it feels like it was a lot more force than just her falling. But February 5th, FBI arrests the first imposter for the fake ransom, which was in Los Angeles. Now, we learned yesterday that a part of that ransom note had USD, which now identified that it's possibly an overseas troll, a foreign troll. So that's kind of where we are right now. And I want to jump into a little more information, because last night we were discussing how it got really bad. Law enforcement really botched this case. Local law enforcement, it sounds, really botched this case. And it also sounds like this is not really much different. So now we're finding out from Mike, which he's with Fox, and I met him personally at the Gabby Petito. He was out there, camped out with us for weeks, much like Brian Enton. That's how I know Brian Enton so well, is because of us being camped out there for weeks and weeks and weeks. And Mike was right there. So we talked to Mike almost every single morning while we were out there. And his work is very, very, very good. If you remember when Gabby Petito's parents went into the woods to find him, and of course they found him 15 minutes later, shocker, right? As if they didn't know where their son was this whole time. But I digress. He's the one that videotaped that. Okay, this is the guy right here, Mike. So if you want to know about that, that's who it was. Mike Ruiz was the one that was out there recording. They were able to go out there with law enforcement, and then they had the one recorder that was, back a ways, just kind of recording their movements. It was Mike. Mike was the one that caught that. So if you guys want to know about who he is, and you can find him on X at Mike R Reports. Mike R Reports. And he says, local delay cooperation with Fed and Nancy Guthrie probe sources say. So law enforcement source described a delay in local cooperation with federal investigators, with days going by before letting them into the fold. This is just more issues that we're finding out that happened in this case. This is not a good situation. You had this light pollution garbage, just straight garbage, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, if you were in Florida, we would laugh at you. You do not put light pollution above an investigation for a human life. I'm still dumbfounded, okay? And then I'm dumbfounded that they would let an internal squabble bench their most seasoned pilot in search and rescue and ground their most sophisticated aircraft for days because of this internal squabble that they had years ago or a year ago. It's just one thing right after another. Now we understand why Savannah was just desperate for the feds. She called in as many favors. Everybody is wondering why is she getting so much attention? Is because she went out and made so much noise about most likely the crap service she was getting from her very uneducated, inexperienced law enforcement body when her very precious 84-year-old mother was missing. You guys would not want to see me if this was me in this situation and having that sheriff as the sheriff investigating my mom. Okay, I'm just going to let you guys know. You guys would think I was a crazy woman, that I was the devil. Okay, because I'm telling you, I would scare somebody if I was dealing with this kind of service and if it was my mom. And Savannah Guthrie is no Bullhorn Betty. So she's dealing, but she's trying to call in all the stuff. That's what happened. I truly believe that's what happened. If law enforcement really had this, I don't think it would have gotten as big as it did. I mean, this did defy logic. But it disappears without a trace, with family members with her calling it in after ample time to clean. Exactly. Botched investigation. Exactly, Tony. I 100%. 100%. So we're starting to see this fraying. We're realizing that law enforcement made just stupid. I mean, I don't even want to say critical and crucial. These are known, like, not to make these mistakes, yet they made them over and over and over and over and over again. I'm just telling you guys, this law enforcement body is jacked up. And to think that they're still on it, you want to know why this sheriff? I think he was kicked off his own case. I would have kicked him off of it. I don't know, and then him coming like, oh, we'll just keep going back there. We'll let the courts figure it out. It's like, have you lost your mind? You're just talking about a guy that's been the sheriff out there for years. And he's speaking like that, like he's never dealt with a defense attorney before. Maybe he's never dealt with a defense attorney before in a high-profile case. But these right here is what people get off. Anyways. Woosah.
Hey guys, so I'm outside Annie Guthrie's home. It's pretty quiet out here. They have private security that they've hired, that the Guthries had hired, so they basically just watch there's actually in that little car right there. They just watch the house all the time, and when the deputies came over the weekend to go inside the house and search and take pictures, they just let them through. We're learning, according to NBC, that search we saw here at Annie Guthrie's house when they were taking the pictures inside, when I saw the flashes, the deputies, that was consensual with the Guthrie family, which I'm not really surprised by.
Guys, I do want to let you know the echo is not from me. This is from the recording that we've got from Brian Enton. I think it was just, I don't know, maybe they hit a button when they were producing it.
Because it seemed kind of like there was no drama when they showed up. It seemed like they were expected. The security guard let them through, and they just went in the house on their own.
Hey,
so
Buffalo.
I kind of expected that. But besides that, it's been quiet out here. It's been quiet at Nancy's house this morning. I think there was like
nice
a sprinkler line that broke or something, so there was like some water shooting in the air, but it didn't seem like anything related to the case. So they have private security here. The Guthries.
Can you imagine of all the things that happen, you get a freaking broken sprinkler. Oh my gosh, I remember seeing that. I did see a video of the sprinkler shooting over the fence, but again, just more mistakes. Like you would think that law enforcement would have went out there and disengaged the water, because water is not your friend when you're doing an investigation. It's just a lot of stuff that's now starting to pile on, with this case. And that was what's the most perplexing problem with this case, is that the piling on. Guys, we have 269 people in chat, 274 people in chat right now. I know we're here very, very early. It's because I've got other engagements. I'm involved in my county and my community, and I've got meetings. So not only do I run this true crime, I also provide free of charge services to fight for our community here against our developers and politicians. So I'm in meetings several times a week fighting for my community. And I'm actually, hopefully by 2028, I'm hoping to be closer to Tallahassee so I can start working on making changes for the entire state of Florida. I thought about DC, but I'm not prepared for the swamp. I think I would go postal if I was in the epitome of the United States swamp. So we're gonna take baby steps over here, okay? I'm going from Manatee County, which I actually did the whole state of Florida before, but at the end of the day, I really need to be closer to Tallahassee. That's where I need to start kicking up a fuss and becoming a boil on the politicians, because I can tell you, some of the people up there pissed me off this time. I'm just saying. I am a lady of many hats. I am. But all my whole entire job is First Amendment. Okay, I can tell you that. If you guys want to know what I do, I adhere to the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. So everything under that right there is what I do every single day. Okay, just to let you know. All right, back to Brian. I'm not the star of this show. Brian is. Let's get back to it.
Also have private security at Nancy's house. So we'll see what happens today. Today is that second deadline. I don't know the exact time. I didn't hear about an exact time. I just know the second deadline was today on Monday. So I'll be out here. I'll keep you guys posted. And
it's not good. So we did confirm that the crypto account is still empty at this time. It is still empty. So it's my belief that no ransom payment has been made. No ransom. I want to move to Florida, seriously. Well, you know what? I got to tell you, it seems like everybody's paying, but we're getting really expensive here, and that's why we're pushing, and that's why DeSantis is pushing for, some type of elimination of property taxes. Our counties just went wild on property taxes because our property values went through the roof. So, if you're going to come, we're about to have a little dip. We're starting to dip right now. If you're looking at property, you're going to want to buy low and sell high. I bought really low, and when I sell this house, I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna be very happy. So I could do better, but you know, we can always do better, right? So, guys, when we're dealing with this particular case, and I did want to tell you guys one thing. Remember how I told you, if you guys raise your hand, remember I told you that I thought that they weren't living at the house? That was one thing I said, is I don't think they're at Annie's house anymore. As soon as they got private security, I'm like, they're not there. I know these things because I've seen this so many times. Hey, Kevin, it's nice to see you. It is possible the second ransom note had a different wallet account. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure they addressed that, and I thought they both had the same account. But actually, I don't think the second ransom referred to any digital wallet or crypto wallet. But I can't, that's a good question. I don't know. Let me put this out there for factual purposes. For fact, I don't know. Possibly, if I recall correctly, I don't think, because they never talked about the crypto wallet. They only talked about the VPN. The VPN was the same. And Derek Kallela, yeah, thank you, Buffalo, sent a text to one of the family members, which it was funny because somebody brought up that he was in a band. Very odd ransom amounts too. 4 million in Bitcoin and 6 million in Bitcoin, I don't know. I don't know. And we're hearing that Annie and Tommaso their marriage was not what we think it is. We're hearing that there was a breakdown in their marriage, that they may have been moving toward divorce. And then you hear that he was the one that dropped off her mother, so it does. We are getting somewhere, folks. We are getting somewhere. Hold on a second. Let me put this. I might have to do. Hold on, guys. I got to do something real quick. Give me just a second. Sorry about that. I should have done this a while ago, but I didn't because I'm a horrible person. Okay, there we go. I'm just saying, not playing. All right, there you go. Let me get the live chat back up here. Hold on. I think I got it. I'm pretty sure I got the wrong properties up here because I just changed it. I just changed the chat box. There we go. You can tell I changed the chat box. There we go. Derek is a different guy. Yep. He is a different guy. We're told that this guy's not the original ransom note person. Guys, the original ransom had USD. Okay, don't forget that. The original, if I went and kidnapped somebody, okay, I'm not a kidnapper. I just want to make sure for all the hate channels out there, you don't need to call my sheriff and say, Betty's talking about, whatever, okay? This is satire, okay? I just want to put that out there. We do have a satire disclaimer here on the Bullhorn Betty channel, okay? If Bullhorn Betty was a kidnapper, okay, and I wanted some money, and I was the ransom guy, okay? I came in there. I don't even have a ski mask. I need a ski mask. Chlamydia, can I borrow your pink ski mask since you're the criminal, please? May I please? Okay. So I'm creeping. I'm coming in. I'm the kidnapper, okay? And I'm gonna leave a ransom note with an amount. How many of you guys believe I'm going to make sure I clarify that I need that in the United States dollar? Do you guys see me saying, oh, I got your purse, but make sure you're not sending me none of the peso shit. Right? I mean, what the hell? What the hell is going on here, right? I'm just saying.
Bullshit detected. Take precautions.
I'm just saying. It just doesn't seem right here. We're going to have to we got to go to Justin first. I swear that sounds like his. Grease, Bradfoot, Grease, Granny Panty Chris. Since Justin's in the chat, I thought I'd throw that. I swear, I think he's a voice model. I think he's a voice model. A lot of people buy insurance policy on their family. Yeah, and you know what? I mean, all satire aside, you're right. I mean, there is something here, and we all believed it was a little closer. But we talked about Savannah's, I don't know why I always struggle with her name. I always want to say something else, right? Savannah, we heard her Instagram, we heard her message. Let me put this up here. And I found out that they're not living in Annie's house. They've got a nice little, something going on. Where's my search button? There we go. There she is. They got a little something going on here in a nice house that's like a, I don't know, maybe an Airbnb, but they're off the property.
Everybody, I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
We are at an hour of desperation. And we need your help.
I just, what do you say? The first message that they sent out was cryptic, and it made you feel like they basically acknowledged that they know that their mother would not have survived this, and that it seems none of these LE agencies know how to properly shut down. They're ignorant. We found out. Maybe you weren't here last night. Let me pull this up since we're talking on this. This conversation, because at the end of the day, let me close this out. I don't need this right now. At the end of the day, we have Daily Mail, Nanos, mistakes. Here it is. All the damning. Here, I'll pull this back up. We went over this yesterday. That was my evening show last night, because we had been talking about this for a really long time. And it's about all the damn mistakes that they've made in this case. And we've learned, guys, listen, this is what we've learned. Just out the gate. They didn't set up the lights when crucial. Everybody knows. Let me step back here. How many people? We have 373 people in chat right now. Raise your hand, or ones or twos. Ones that it's critical. Two, that it's not as serious as we all make it out to be. Okay? One, critical. Two, not as serious as we make it out to be. The first two, is this a true statement? The first 48 is the most critical. Okay? One, yes. Two, no. And you guys just heard my explanation of it, the easiest way. So if the first 48 hours is the most critical, not setting up lights in that span, in that first 48, not setting up lights because of noise or sound pollution, light pollution, or whatever pollution they wanted to come up with, that was ignorant. Okay? That was ignorance. And then we find out that the most sophisticated plane that they had was grounded, and their most seasoned pilot was benched over stupid bullshit. Excuse my language for speaking like that on a Tuesday. Forgive me. But that's how I feel. And so we have these things. Mind you, this is an 84-year-old grandmother. Can you imagine your grandmother missing and you're like, well, where's the cavalry? Oh, well, we had problems with Sergeant Johnson last year, and, we had to pull them off. What do you mean you had to pull them off? Well, we had to put him back in patrol. We had to, give him his comeuppance. But my mama's missing. Well, we understand that, but yeah, I don't know what to tell you. We need to bench him. We can't. If we bring him in right now, then it might look like we actually this was all for nothing. So we got to keep him benched. But an 84-year-old woman is missing. Yeah, I know that, but this is internal stuff. Okay. Now that I'm being a little dramatic, just a little facetious here, a little sarcastic here. Okay, thank you, Amber. But you see what I'm saying? How ignorant it sounds. Nobody gives a crap. Okay, at the end of the day, nobody gives a crap about light pollution. Nobody gives a crap about internal issues. What they give a crap about is they called law enforcement to come and help them because their mother is missing, and we're getting excuses, and all of this red tape that we do not need when we have a major investigation. How much of this hindered this investigation? How much of it hindered it? All of it. Every blessed bit of it hindered this investigation. All of this woke bullshit. Excuse my language, guys, but you guys got to understand this woke stuff. You want to do that in your libraries. Don't screw with the law enforcement. Okay? Seriously, because let's face it, this ain't my mama. Okay? Not to be getting down like that. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm trying to be effective and make sure that it resonates up here for all of you. Okay? But this ain't my mama. This is somebody else's mama. Okay? This is somebody else's mama that lives in a society that allows that. See, my mama doesn't live in a society like that. Why? Because I would put my boot slap up somebody's ass. Okay? If you don't believe me, call my county commission. Okay? I will not live like that. We don't have bullcrap ordinances in this county. Why? Because I'm involved. Exactly why we're going so early this morning is because I have those very county meetings that I've got to go to today. Right? So I'm ultra involved. This kind of crap doesn't go on in Manatee County. Do we have crime? We do. Are we perfect? We're not. Does our officers do everything perfectly? I'm absolutely confident that they do not, but I'm appreciative that they give it their all and they're highly skilled. We do not hire people for jobs they're not qualified to have. Okay? And every time my officer comes here and says, I need a boat, or I need a plane, or I need a new position, guess what we do? The activists in this county stand up and we say, because we trust our sheriff. If he didn't need it, he's not going to ask for it. If he needs it, he needs it. And that's the way we look. We don't hinder our law enforcement here in Florida or in Manatee County. And I wish that people were like this all over. If this case was in Florida, it'd be solved right now. I truly 100% believe it. If it was in Polk County with Grady Judd, they would have had the person by dinner. Okay? We don't play here. And we definitely don't have stupid light ordinances preventing us from doing our job when grandmothers go bye-bye and disappear. So again, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to show the ignorance in all of it because I've got no other way to show you that. But there's so many mistakes that were made with this poor lady's case from her local government. And what did it come down to? It came down to incompetence, inexperience. That's what it came down to. Okay? You don't want that to be your law enforcement if you go missing or your grandmother goes missing or, God forbid, your mom goes missing. Tell me that this is the story you want to have. Not me. So let's get back.
The mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, who has been missing now for 8 days. And just seconds ago,
9 days today,
in an apparent ransom note passed. It reportedly demanded $6 million in Bitcoin by 5 p.m. Arizona time. We don't know whether the Guthrie family paid their mother's alleged captors. They put out a video.
I have a report that says that the crypto, how they got this crypto, if people say that it can't be traced, I absolutely 100% know for a fact it can be traced, period. I heard that the crypto account still remains zero balance. Zero balance in that crypto account.
Over this weekend saying they were ready to. And today, in a brand new video released this afternoon, Savannah Guthrie begged the public for help, saying she and her family believe their mother is alive.
She was taken and we don't know where.
She didn't say that.
And we need your help.
God, blessed.
So I'm coming on just to...
Hold on, sorry. I was trying to stop it and my computer wasn't stopping. But she did not say she feels...
believe their mother is alive.
She didn't say that. The first one, she said that she believes her mother's alive and out there. This one, she never referenced her mother. And as a matter of fact, in my opinion, the message before, the very short message that all three of them were in, was very cryptic. Almost, to me, implying that they know their mother is not alive. So many people need people or have this this mind thought and mind process that if somebody is perceived as deceased, people stop searching for them. I truly don't believe that that's the case, but I don't know. I didn't study it, I didn't study to whether that was the case or not. So I don't know. Would Derek interject, risk making fake? Yes, there's a lot of people. Are you kidding me? There are people that will go to the police and say they are guilty of the crime for 15 minutes of fame. We've got a sick world out here. I've seen it myself. You would not believe it until you see it. But I'm telling you, there are just some dumb people in this world. Okay. You cannot fix the kind of stupid that are in this country. And as a matter of fact, I'm one of those people that do support insane asylums being opened again. I'm just saying. Okay. Will Betty be in one of them one day? I don't know. But you know what? If I go postal, I probably need one. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Derek and Tommaso I know, RS. That's what somebody was telling me. And I'm like, that there are some connections that people have, brought up that are uncanny. I get it. I without a doubt, I get it. I get it. Guys, we've got 494 people in chat at a ridiculous time in the morning because most of these people are not overseas, but over on the, West Coast, which means they're earlier. And it's 7 o'clock. So guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button for me and come back in here. Tell me what number you are, where you're from, and what your temperature is, okay? I can't hurt myself, but I do love myself. I didn't once love myself. But now I love myself and I'm comfortable in my own skin. And I got to tell you, it's pretty liberating. But right now in Manatee County, it is a cool 46 degrees. And we have a high today of 73. Bada bing! Yes, sir! I'm ready to shake all of this flannel garbage. I'm ready to get it going. 73? I can be out in a bikini doing a freaking moonwalk. I'm happy. Woohoo! Woohoo! That's what it is here in Florida. What it is here in Florida. 101. Oh, a 101. Thank you, Grave. 30 degrees in Tennessee. I'm going to be moonwalking in my 73 degrees. I'm sorry. I just am. So good morning, little orange man. It's nice to see you, Lady Gray. Veronica, hello. What's the update on the case? Oh, we haven't even gotten to the update. We still haven't gotten there yet. I mean, we know about all the mistakes that have been had in this case. We have discussed those. There's even more mistakes that have been had in this case. So if you guys are just coming in, local delayed cooperation with the feds and the Nancy. So we have an 84-year-old woman that's out there that is from a very famous person, and law enforcement is not cooperating with feds, not turning on lights at night because of some stupid ordinance. They're not even following proper procedure and protocol. They released the crime scene entirely too soon. I mean, the list literally goes on and on and on. And then we find out from the Daily Mail that we don't even have really seasoned investigators on this. These people are incompetent because they don't have any experience. And they're the ones running this investigation. So, I mean, we have a lot of issues going on in this case that are just providing a lot of heartburn, and why the feds, in my opinion, had no choice but to find a way to take over the case, which I think they kind of did have a way to take over the case with the ransom. And I do believe the ransom is overseas. I think it's an overseas foreign troll that has no hand in this disappearance because, as I've sat on my platform, we follow statistics, we follow these cases, we've covered a lot of these cases, and in our experience and stuff, it's closer to home. The ransom just seems so far-fetched. It seems too cinematic, right? Like something made for movies, but not made for reality. And that's kind of where I was. Like, this was all theatrics. This was all, movie-like. Real life is not movie-like. It's actually stranger than fiction, if you really want the truth. But at the end of the day, statistics tell us that whoever did this is going to be closer to this woman than some ransom rink that we've never heard of in the United States. Now, do they work around? Yeah, we have places all over the country, all over the world. I can tell you in Brazil, there's a lot of ransoms. There's a lot of jackings of cars, and there's just a lot of different things that go on in South America that don't go on in our America, right? There's other things that go on overseas all the time that don't go on in our country. And so when this ransom came up, I mean, have we had ransoms or things that have turned into, or, make believe like hoax ransom? Yes, we've had cases like this before where somebody was a homicide victim and it grew legs and hands and legs and walked off and started doing dances and stuff with the whole, ransom. But at the end of the day, it was never a ransom. I bet the Bitcoin count belonged to a Nigerian. Or should I say this, since we have a lot of fraud from the Somali community, I don't know, it might be a Somalian prince for all we know, because our experience in the United States, at least recently, would say that it would have been a Somali. But hey, I mean, I don't know. So the search continues. We had helicopters, drone, the FBI's involvement, no suspects or vehicles identified as of yesterday. As of today, I haven't heard of any more. We do know that there were some things that did prove valuable in this investigation. For example, we had a car and an unknown person that they're looking for or observed at a gas station. I'm pretty sure that they may know $6 million in gift cards. Good gracious. Mama needs some shoes, baby. Mama needs some shoes, right? I'm sitting here thinking, I'm wondering, man, I hear that some people have lost Bitcoin accounts, right? And there's like billions or millions of dollars out there in the ether somewhere. I'm ready to go capture that ether. I'm ready for my payday. Maybe that's what I need to start focusing the rest of my life work on, trying to hijack a lost wallet. Because from what I hear, once it's gone forever. I would never like an account like that. That's pretty stinking scary to me. When it's gone forever. Once you lose your key, if we can find the key and we can take over an account, I tell you what, I'm investing all of it into child crime reduction. We needed $1 billion. I tell you what, my $1 billion would go a long way, because you guys know I'm cheap as shit and I expect a lot of results with my money. Anyways, so we've got no vehicles, but I think there are vehicles. We hear that there is an identified vehicle, a car that they're looking for. We heard about a car from the gas stations. Has that produced anything? I don't know. So we got family videos plea for return stating we will pay after receiving the message. While there's also, remember, we can't forget there's a $50,000 reward from the FBI. She has limited mobility and medication needs that heighten urgency. With the no ransom payment confirmed post deadline. This is providing a lot of shock and awe for all of us. What is going to happen now? What happens now? We don't know, folks. We really just don't know. Where do we go from here? I don't know.
She was taken and we don't know where.
But I don't think she said...
And we need your help.
We're not going to watch this whole
So
thing
I'm coming
again.
on just to ask you, not just for your prayer.
Okay.
Police have not identified a suspect or a person of interest in Nancy Guthrie's case. And making this all the more urgent, Guthrie uses a pacemaker and it seems is without her critical daily medication.
It is my understanding, and only people with pacemakers would really understand how dire it is for that medication. And it's my understanding that her medication did not go with her. I have to assume at this point that they would have been able to count the pills and make sure that there were no, but you know what? Maybe they haven't. I can't assume anything with this law enforcement body, folks. I can't. I'd like to, but I can't. It's happening to everyone everywhere. I've been telling people since 2024, mistreated and ignored. My father began in Poconos, PA. I was in Poconos for Brian Koberger. Poconos Mountains. I went there for that. By air, so many people involved. I sounded crazy in my opinion. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that is stranger than fiction, and it makes it hard for people to believe. Answer is somewhere between Cioni and Killela. Ooh. Maybe some type of connection. I would think, if it, I don't know. I'm a little wonky on this because just because you're not going to like what I say because I know we got a lot of musicians in here. I used to date musicians, so I'm going to say this. But the musician area is not the most morally sound, especially in certain types of music. They're even more corruptible than other types of music genres. So I don't know what type of music they're in. But I can tell you, anybody that's born elsewhere, not in the United States, they live a different life. They have different moral compasses. They're taught differently. And it's just because that's the way they're raised in their country. And so when we always incorporate other people from other countries, it doesn't really, there's always going to be a change in, even with like Ireland or Australia. I'm not just talking about places like India and things like that. I'm talking about everybody, all encompassing. When you have people come over, they're just from different walks, and we don't know what that walk is. For this guy, the Cioni guy, we have no idea who he is, how he was raised. He came over here in 2006. Our time starts at 2006. That's scary. Because like with Chris Proudfoot, he lived in the same area over and over again. We knew that he had problems, that he had, something was wrong with him way back when he was a kid, just because of the stories that people were able to tell us about his childhood. And then you get here with the Cioni guy, and that's all missing. We can't get into this guy's background and find out who he is, and if he is a son. And the reason why I'm focusing on his name, a lot today is because, let's face it, now that this Ransom appears to be a dud, and that's what it appears to be, based on Savannah's statements yesterday, that's what it sounds like. We don't know where she's at, She sounded like they didn't make the payment. This is a dud. This was not a good angle. They tried it. It didn't work. The person is not, most likely they've probably determined this person's not even in this country. And so now they're going back to the drawing board, but they don't really have to go too far to the drawing board because they've been doing this parallel investigation, one for the ransom and one for whatever's going on at that house and the leads that are being derived by the forensics from the house. Now, I will tell you, even in this new age of where forensics are processed fairly quickly, we're still going to have a major problem with processing of DNA and forensics. It still takes a while. Some of the testing takes days to do, just to do the testing correctly. The processes. So we're not getting, we're getting some of the results. You're going to get some of the results back, instantly, like the DNA stuff with the rapid DNA, but even the rapid DNA, that's just one process. It still has to go through the full kit and caboodle, to get those reports and stuff back. I can tell you with Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner, which was a hot case in Utah, and they had the Salt Lake City FBI working on the case. And it still took over a year to get some of that forensics back. So, just to put stuff into perspective here, I'm hoping that since 2021, 2022, those processes have speed up a little bit. But, to be honest with you, that's not that far ago. We were in Moab, Utah back in, this all happened in 2021 because it was all part of the story with Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito. But we were following leads, and one of the leads was Crystal Turner and Kylan Schulte because they also lost their life. These 4 people, it's very creepy. But Brian Laundrie was beating up on Gabby Petito at a coffee shop right in front of the Moonflower in Moab, Utah, Well, Kylan Schulte was just getting off of work at the Moonflower and had just gotten in the van with her wife, Crystal Turner, when this altercation between Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie ensued. Okay, so they're sitting in the van, they're watching this altercation out in front of this coffee shop right across the street from the Moonflower. They didn't want to get involved. They already knew that somebody from the Moonflower was calling law enforcement, and within 30 days, all 4 of those people were dead. Even every time I say it, the hair on the back of my neck still stands up to this day when I tell you guys that. And they didn't have anything to do with one another's homicide. So we know now that Brian Laundrie murdered Gabby Petito and then unalived himself out into the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park. But with Crystal Turner and Kylan Schulte, many people thought Brian Laundrie also was responsible for them, but it wasn't. It was a co-worker. Crystal Turner worked at the McDonald's, and it was a co-worker of hers that was Adam. He could not stand lesbian women, and him and Crystal almost came to blows. And here is the kicker. This was the craziest. Not that sexual identity is a big deal to me, but in this case, it was a motivation of why they were killed. And come to find out, this guy was struggling with his own internal demons about his sexuality. So he was a gay man. And I think that's what it had to do. He just hated women. And it was really crazy that he would do what he did, but he ended up unaliving himself in September. They were unalived in August. He unalived himself in September, and he had confessed to his lover that he was the one that did it. So just a crazy case. So these cases really do. But as you guys see, even in all of these cases, this crossroad of people with all the possibilities of who it could be, who was responsible in both of those cases? Somebody close to them. Somebody that knew them. Okay? That's where I'm at. And so I can literally name case after case because we were boots on the ground. We went out there. I should be out there in this case too, but honestly, it's too damn expensive, right? It's too damn expensive to get out there right now. We have court costs that we're still raising. I can't throw $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 out there for this case. We have to do it from here. We've got eyeballs out there. We're very thankful. Don't worry, this is only going to last for so long, and we're going to be back out on the road again. And I can't wait. I'm chomping at the bit to be back out on the road again. So we're getting there. We're dipping our toes back out little by slow. We're going to be out at Sebastian Rogers' case at the end, closer to the end of this month, the 23rd through the 27th. If you guys are in the Tennessee area, come out and say hi. Come out and say hi. It's for a great cause. Let's get back to this case. We are covering the case of Nancy Guthrie. She's an 84-year-old grandmother that was ripped from her home. There's blood on the outside of her home. It appears that there was a struggle that ensued inside to the outside of her home, and she has been missing and has not been seen since she was dropped off to her home by her son-in-law on Saturday evening around 9:48. And that's the last time anybody has saw her. But we do have some forensic data that indicates something. We just don't know what.
Savannah Guthrie has shared that her mom lives in constant pain and has a fragile heart. Let's go right now to News Nation's Brian Enton live for us at the scene right outside Nancy Guthrie's home in Tucson. Brian, there has been so much police activity there over the weekend. And then we had this latest video from Savannah herself just now.
Yeah, the video was certainly striking, Elizabeth, because the other videos released by the family have all been directed at a possible abductor. And
Great point. This is why I like Brian, and he's very, very good at picking up on things. So another point that makes me feel like they have accepted this ransom being a dud is what he just said. At the end of the day, they are no longer addressing the person that was making the ransoms. I don't think they believe that person has their mother. I think it was a red herring. I think it was another person like the guy that was arrested in Los Angeles, the Kalela guy. I think it was another situation like that, but it's the USD. The USD in the note makes me feel like it wasn't from the United States. It was from overseas. And we know if somebody's overseas, they're probably not in possession of Nancy. So that's kind of where we are. Thank you guys for all of you who are coming in. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. We have 700 viewers in our chat. Come back in. Let us know what number you are, where you're from, what state you're from, and what your temperature is there in your state. It helps us get an idea of what it is around the country. So I appreciate your help with that.
Pleading to a possible abductor, where the tone of this one was very different, and Savannah was really just talking to the public in general and asking the public for help, which makes you wonder, are they no longer confident in those ransom notes that we have been reporting on for the last week or so?
I want to know, are we going to be looking potentially at, them hiring a private investigator? Are we looking at them getting some voluntary search groups to get out there? I mean, I have some ideas of places based on potential subjects and suspects that I think, or persons of interest that I think are notable in this case, which are several. And I'm wondering, what plans are they doing to, check locations in and around the comfort zones of those people on the short list of persons of interest. That's, another area of concern that I personally have when it comes to this search. We have law enforcement out there, but I haven't heard anybody talking about getting search parties, private search parties out there to go out where law enforcement isn't searching, where it could be possible that there is some relevant evidence there. And, I'm just, why couldn't it be someone from overseas working with the abductor? It's too complicated. I'm sorry, things are not, it's too far-fetched. I know people want to believe in the mystery and the ransom, the juicy story and stuff like that. But reality is, even though it's stranger than fiction, it's not like that. I think, first of all, we need to do our research on how many are true ransoms. When's the last time we've had a true ransom in this country? I think that's going to clarify some things. True ransoms, not we've got your kid. There were a couple. There were some. I think 500,000 people were arrested. It was a hoax. One guy got lost, and there was a ransom put up on his head, and he was lost out in the woods. I mean, there's some really crazy stuff. So there are situations where we have more people that have disappeared and people have sent ransom demands in, but then you find out it's like this loser in Los Angeles where they just, found an opportunity to exploit a situation. And that's what you find more times than not. And, of course we look out for indicators and stuff like that might indicate one way or another. But I truly believe that the majority of these cases are very simple and very similar. It's typically somebody Very seldom times is it something different. And, sometimes when it's something different, it's hard to tell because it's mostly somebody close to them. So like even Charlotte Senna, when she disappeared, I can tell you, Occam's razor, exactly. But I can tell you when Charlotte Senna, she was a little 9-year-old girl that was abducted at a New York park, like a camping ground. And she was there with family and friends. And this is the first time she wanted to ride her bike by herself of all the times. She just had to ride this bike by herself around the circle. And so they're like, okay, just hurry back, don't just ride around the circle. Well, she never came back. It was that quick. It was that blessed quick. And this abductor got Charlotte Senna. Well, she's a 9-year-old girl. We obviously know what that is all about, right? We're adults. We know why a young girl would be abducted. Statistics tell us that young girl would be deceased. First and foremost, when this case started out, what did we look at first? We looked at her parents. We dove into her parents' background. We checked her parents. We looked at her parents' criminal history. Why? because we know statistically it would be more likely to be a parent hurting her and finding a place to hide her body out there in a camping ground. Okay? That's why, because we've had a lot of stories like that. I mean, not a lot, but a lot over the years. So even the Decker case, by the way. So, we looked at the parents first. Why? Because that's the most probable. When we realized that this truly was an abduction, we started looking at who would be in the area. We started, starting to put out, check your cameras, do this, do that. But we've always started with the family, because the family's the most probable. In this case, she truly was abducted. She was truly abducted by a stranger she never met before in her life. And normal statistics would also tell us that she would have been deceased within a few hours of her abduction. So we were looking for, unfortunately, a deceased little girl, but she wasn't. Again, defying logic, defying statistics. She was abducted by a stranger danger, and she was found alive. Yes, she was hurt. She's got scars that are going to be a long, she's never going to probably heal from the scars from this abduction, but she's alive, right? She gets a chance to live. She gets a chance to heal. We can't make somebody's walk be any different than the walk that they're meant to have, but at least she gets to have a walk. And again, defying logic. And that's important because when we look at these cases, naturally, one of the first things we go to are the family. And the reason why is because the majority of the time, it's somebody in the family. It's somebody that you love, you care about, that knows you better than anybody else. It's usually them. Okay? It's usually them. In the rare cases, in the very 1% of other probabilities, there lies, the outliers, but they're still outliers. So when we're in a case like this, you don't know if this case is going to be an outlier case or if this is going to be a statistical case. You see the difference? So when I'm on the fence, I'm on the fence for reasons, and it's because of this statistic. We know that there's this 1%, and it could be part of this 1% because we've seen a 1% case, Charlotte Senna. We've seen a 1% case in our history here on this channel is Charlotte Senna. So we know that they exist out there, and we know that we will cover them eventually. But the majority of our cases, now we've just covered that case. Is this going to be a majority? Because we got to look at statistical anomalies. If we have an outlier and an outlier only happens once out of 99% of the time, 1% out of 99% of the time, then we've had Charlotte Senna. Would this be another outlier? Would this be another statistical anomaly? I don't know. But it doesn't seem like that. It seems like a very basic case here. It seems like something happened to this woman, and there would have had to have been a motivation behind it. Either resentment, money, or, I guess SA, right? SA, money, or resentment. Those are really, so you have your intimate relationship, your familial relationship, and friendly relationships, and then you have your unknown associates. But in this particular situation, I'm thinking that, it's either money or resentment. It's definitely personal. That's the point. Most of these cases are personal. So I've maintained that, but we've had a healthy balance here because, again, it could have been part of the outlier. I mean, this is a notable family. People know her. We are just even in covering this case, you guys see that we have a political issue here. Like, we've got people that are just so nasty to this family because they're getting attention for their case. And it's like, well, they've got money. They shouldn't get attention. Like, if you have money, you should have you should just, never get help by anybody. It just, it's just nasty. People just being nasty to be nasty. And I don't want to engage in that crap. I don't want to engage in it. We do engage in it on political, when it's a political talking point. When we have political stuff to talk about, we might engage in our positions more strongly. And I have said very disrespectful things intentionally, and I'm going to hold my own on that. But at the end of the day, we don't turn down cases. Well, I shouldn't say that. We still advocate for cases, but we won't support the cases typically once they start going to trial. For example, we advocated for Kata Scott case, okay, up until Keon King was identified and arrested. And then, of course, we changed our position because her family is standing with the person that created the situation that got their child killed, and it was disgusting and sickening. And I'm an advocate, a victim right advocate, and it turned my stomach. So I dropped out of that case, but that was after the suspect was found. That was after the avocation. So again, if this is a situation like that, will we cover it? I have a problem. Me personally, will help any case. Okay. But I personally have a problem, and I will talk during that case about how if this was an illegal, for example, I would be talking about after this case, after we found out what was going on, about how unfortunate it is that this family supported the positions that got their loved one unalived or hurt, That would be the position of this channel. But right now, I think that's inappropriate. There's a time and place for everything. And right now we have an 84-year-old woman that is missing, and we need to find her. The story is looking grim. We know she has a weak heart. She needs daily medication to survive. She hasn't had her daily medication in almost 2 weeks. The chances of her survival are very low. Okay. I think that, and you can kind of see it, in my opinion, in Savannah's face. And I'm sorry, but there's no politics in this world that's going to keep me from feeling horrible for her. Okay. At the end of the day, we all have family, and we love our family. And there's not a damn thing in this world that I would not do for my mom. And, we're going to support this family until we find their mom. And that's just, whether people like it or not, that's just where our position is on this topic. I know people are upset about this. I don't even understand why. I've never understood why people are upset that we advocate for. It's just like, oh, well, my case is not getting, well, everybody's like, that's not fair. That's not fair. I just want to put this out there to the world. Life is not fair. Okay? It's not fair. Good people die. Bad people live. Right? There's not enough good people philanthropists. There's so many more takers than there are givers. Life is not a fair life. So let's stop with this. This is not fair. Neither is life. And we're living real life.
New within just the last couple of minutes, we got a new statement from the sheriff's office here, and what I read into it, a lot of it was just them saying they're still not going to comment. There's no press briefings, but there was one line that I picked up on that said that they are investigating new leads and that we can expect to see more law enforcement activity at the Guthrie homes. We haven't seen it yet here at Nancy's. There's nothing happening.
New leads. Listen, he just said, did you guys hear that? Bum, bum, bum. Let's go back 15 seconds. Let's listen again.
If it was just them saying they're still not going to comment, there's no press briefings, but there was one line that I picked up on that said that they are investigating new leads and that we can expect to see more law enforcement activity at the Guthrie homes. We haven't seen
homes. Homes, plural. Let's not forget, homes is plural. Homes, Guthrie homes. Homes. There should not be homes with leads. There should not be homes. There should be a home, Nancy's home. But when we have new leads and we're talking about the Guthrie homes, plural, I don't know if that's a good sign, folks. I don't know if that's a good sign. I don't know.
There's nothing happening right now at Annie's, but perhaps that's going to change soon.
Nothing happening at Annie's right now, but maybe that will change soon. Maybe that will change soon, they say. I don't know. Let me get that out of the... I don't know. Homes, yep. Homes. I don't know how I like the sound of that. Just throwing that out there.
You mentioned the weekend. It was very, very busy here over the weekend. Of course, Friday night we had the FBI search, the massive search here.
Oh, that's right. And Brian Enton's going to be telling you guys, we can skip this area. So we're going to be walking as a channel. The Bullhorn Betty channel is, from time to time, there's, stuff moves at a mile a minute. We're grabbing a lot of information from a lot of places. We're not boots on the ground. If we're boots on the ground, you can bet your butt that the information that we get and we tell is truly information we get. But we're at the mercy of other people's reporting. So I want to walk some things back when it comes to Annie Guthrie's house. So we heard that her house was searched under warrant. And that's not true. According to what law enforcement has told Brian Enton or his team, is that the Guthrie family, Annie Guthrie and her husband, offered or allowed them without a warrant to go in and photograph their house or do whatever they needed to do inside their house. Just go on in there and do whatever you need to do. And so that is what happened. They were not under court order to go in there. That was voluntary. It sounds like they said, hey, we need to get into the house. And they said, okay, go on in. I don't believe the family was there. I don't believe the family's been there since they started having private security at Annie Guthrie's house. I had always believed that they moved because Savannah is well known, and you get crackpots that come around when you have like a celebrity or something that just does do weird shit. I don't know why, but they do. And so it sounds like they've moved themselves to they're still in the area. They moved themselves to a like an Airbnb, a real fancy like private home that gives them a little more security. So I wanted to walk that back because we were told originally that there was camera lights from Brian Enton, and then of course JLR had said he thought he saw some alternative light sources in there. So I reported both of those things, and it sounds like yes, there were camera flashes, and there may have been some tests. We even saw them bringing out some evidence from inside the home that they may have wanted to take back to the lab for further testing. But we did find out it doesn't sound like it was the true forensic search that we had originally thought. And I put on like, this is a forensic search, and it's not. It was cameras. A few things came out of the house that might have been of concern, and which still, again, a concerning issue, but it wasn't by warrant. That means they didn't have to rise to probable cause to get in there. So that kind of gives, it brings it back just a little. It's still concerning that they want to get into the house to do testing at all, but they're not putting up the fuss with it, which tells me one of two things: that they at least don't believe Annie or that house, or for right now, is a criminal or a suspect, because I feel like if it was because of suspect, that they thought Annie or her husband were suspects, I feel like they would have went ahead and covered their ass and got the warrant. Because what will end up happening is later down the road, if they arrest Tammaso, he may say, I didn't give you permission to go in my house. And now they're moving to have all of that evidence tossed out of the case. So it's always been, and I've always been told by law enforcement, they like warrants. They just like warrants for evidence. It just makes things cleaner. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and this is one of the issues that we have. This particular house had no warrant. So it brings us to another factor of I always watch law enforcement and their behavior. So I'm still paying attention. And while I have not personally come out and condemned Tammaso directly, I do believe that somebody that is responsible would be somebody like a Tammaso, somebody that knew her, that had contact with her, that knows her routines, that were inside of her home. That's what I mean. So if Tammaso ends up being responsible, it will not be shocking me. If it becomes her housekeeper, it will not shock me. If it's her landscaper, It will not shock me, because these are the types of people that hit those boxes, and so does other family members as well. So let's not forget that, and let's not lose sight. We don't know what happened. And while I do agree, it's very suspect that Tommaso is rising to the cream of the crop, and he was the last one to see her. So he's got kind of a double whammy on him, more so than, say, the gardener or the housekeeper. So we do have to, talk about that as well.
At Nancy's home. But then on Saturday night, sheriff's deputies showed up to Annie's home. And Annie is, of course, Nancy's other daughter, Savannah's sister. And I ran out there, and there were 3 deputies. They were collecting evidence. They had blue gloves on, and they went inside the house for 3 hours. And you see it right here. You just saw a flash. They were taking photos inside Annie's home. And they started in the garage, and they worked their way across the house into different rooms too. The blinds were closed, but you could see the flash coming through the windows. What they were looking for, details of that investigation, we don't know. We were over at the courthouse today trying to see if there were any search warrants available, and there were none. And we were told there weren't even any sealed warrants to see, which is interesting. NBC News is reporting that the Guthries gave consent for the sheriff's deputies to go in there and investigate on Saturday night.
So there you go. It sounds like they called the Annie or her family members and said, hey, can we get in here? We need to do this. And they may have just said, go on ahead in, get what you need, and that's what we want from people. That's what we expect from families that have nothing to hide, that don't care. I mean, families have all families have skeletons in their closet. Let's be honest. You guys, no matter how perfect you are, you probably got a few skeletons in your closet. At the end of the day, all families have skeletons. So you're going to find something that somebody doesn't want to be known to public, period. Okay. In any family, in any situation. But it's the ones that don't care, that just say, I don't care what you find. I know I didn't do this. Just bring my mom home, right? That's what you expect. That's why when we have parents like Chris and Katie Proudfoot, for example, that want the appearance of looking like they're helping, but they never go out and search. They never go to a vigil. Every time anybody comes into the community to search, they do everything they can to threaten them, intimidate them, and try to push them away. It's because they've never really searched for their son. They're acting all types of way, and they're wanting the appearance, the public appearance of looking like they're doing everything, while sitting there and lawyering up and failing to cooperate with the investigation. That they were cooperating up front to an extent. But at the end of the day, when you start seeing people put up walls when you're trying to search and trying to find somebody, that that's not right. So we want to see this. We want to see Annie and Tommaso saying, here's the keys to the house. Go do whatever you need to do. That's what we as a public want to see. So I'm side-eyeing them. But there are things that are here that are saying, just slow my roll. We don't have to rush this. Let's see how this is developing. Let's make sure we're on the right path here. Sometimes these things are very obvious, and sometimes these things are not, right? It seems like it's obvious it would be the son-in-law, but he's not in jail. They have gone over to their house to investigate, but not under warrant. They had permission. So I don't know. I right now, at least from where I'm standing, it seems like law enforcement is doing what they need to do, but they are not really stressing with the son-in-law yet.
Elizabeth.
All right, Brian, let us know if anything pops up out there. We obviously will come right back to you with any urgent updates. My first guest tonight are retired FBI agents who co-host the Cold Red podcast.
We'll come back to that maybe tomorrow and do this section of that, but not right now. I do want to get into Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino was on Fox News last night. He actually talked about the Guthrie case. This is, our whole entire country is very, very concerned about what happened to this grandmother. I can tell you, I personally am very concerned about this grandmother. I believe she's gone. I believe she was gone before she left the house. But I also believe that it was never a ransom and somebody close to her hurt her. And I've maintained that from the beginning, although we've shared whatever information we needed to share on this. I made sure that I told you guys that these are the facts and this is my opinion. So that this was always my opinion. This has always been my working theory. It seems like it's starting to hold more water today than it was yesterday. So we're going to still keep going down this path. And then here we have Dan Bongino. He's a wealth of knowledge. This man has an impeccable background. He's been in law enforcement his entire life. He's a no mess with kind of guy. He doesn't need a job. He doesn't need friends. This is my kind of guy, okay? This is my kind of guy.
Family once again, the newest Fox News contributor. He's back, the one and only Dan Bongino. You come at this, Dan, first of all, as a friend, number one, number two, but also having now recently spent time on the inside. And it's so easy for people on the sidelines, Monday morning quarterbacks, to be second-guessing everything.
I love Sean Hannity, but I'm not ready. I want Sean Hannity to shut up. Okay, let's let Dan Bongino speak.
But in a couple days after, there was, you have to have a request for assets to be brought in, or you have to have federal jurisdiction. This was done by request. That's why you saw the crime scene was reopened again. That was the FBI ERT, from what I've heard, going back in, the evidence response team, to take over and do what they do. They do it best. That's all they do, is process evidence at these scenes. So what's going on right now? I see three possibilities, Sean, and I'm not going to weight them. These are three possibilities. If you apply Occam's razor, I see could apply. The first would be, obviously, it's a kidnapping. That was an intended kidnapping for a ransom payment. That would be the first possibility. Again, I'm not weighting any of them. The second possibility would be this was just a crime that went awry. Someone was at the house. Maybe it was a burglary. Maybe something went bad, and that you've got some bad actors committing another crime unrelated. In other words, requesting a ransom for something you didn't do just to take advantage of a situation like this. The third possibility, again, this is and this is where I think you have to kind of think outside of the boxes, especially given some of the messaging that we've seen lately, is the possibility that there may have been some kind of maybe a medical emergency or something, and maybe this was not a kidnapping. And I say that only because, and again, I'm not weighting these possibilities. We're just, when you can't find someone at a crime scene like this right away within the first couple of days, you either have really good surgical type operators, or the story you've been told or you may have believed may not be the story. I mean, think about it. What are
the story you've been told or may believe may not be the story. That is pretty critical. I think that is more so than not. Let's listen to that again. Let's go back 10 seconds.
You either have really good surgical type operators, or the story you've been told or you may have believed may not be the story. I mean, think about
Bingo.
it. What are the possibilities that there's no LPR trips, license plate readers, that Somex scrubs, social media exploitation turned up nothing?
He's making a lot of, but we always believed that they had more information than they've been letting us know. And I think he's kind of, confirming that for us, if you will. I mean, Dan Bongino, he's a smart guy. When you eat, drink, and sleep law enforcement like Dan Bongino, whether you agree with him, like him or not, it doesn't matter. He is a great asset to have. And he's even more a great asset to have to explain all this stuff to us, because this is what he lived. This was his job. I mean, he did all this kind of stuff before.
That cast analysis, cell phone analysis, that there's other tools I don't want to really talk about, but I promise they're there. We've used them in cases, that none of this stuff was tripped after the Bureau came in and applied all their assets. It's just, it seems really strange.
Let me.
Really strange. Listen to the way he says it. Hold on, I want to hear this.
Cases that none of this stuff was tripped after the Bureau came in and applied all their assets.
After the Bureau came in and applied all their assets, we have nothing? Interesting.
It's just, it seems really strange.
Really strange. Really strange. Hey, Cody's voice. It's nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well today. Army vet. Mathra, it's nice to see you. We old ladies fight to the mountains to maintain our independence. It is the kids who can't wait. Yep. And you got to remember the family. I'm not trying to throw shade on Annie or her husband, but at the end of the day, we're looking at this case and all of us are seeing it. They're the lowest man on the totem pole in this family, and she's living in a very, very nice house, a very expensive house. When I was dismissing it before because it didn't make sense, but we recently dived into how much money Annie and her husband could be making, and it doesn't seem like they could be making, hand over fist money. So, are they able to afford? But you got to think they left a $400,000 home. They had to have some equity in that house, to bring down some of the equity in their other house. But they still, even if they, well, that's going to be a conversation for another day.
Let me quote veteran FBI Special Agent Lance Lysing of Arizona. And he said the notes to the media outlets, that part of the investigation now he believes is come and gone. And then he said, in legitimate ransom cases, kidnappers move fast. They establish leverage quickly.
See?
Communication begins within hours, not days of an abduction. Proof of...
See? You guys listen to all this? Because this is important to know. Why is it important to know? Because what we saw here does not define a ransom. We had a woman that disappeared. There was no ransom note state there. And not only that, with their own timeline. Look at this. From on the first, they were in the home for 41 minutes. This is not the behavior of somebody that's abducting somebody. This is the behavior of somebody that feels comfortable in that house, because it's like a smash and grab. Think of it like that. If you're abducting somebody for ransom, you want to get in, get out, leave your note, and take the person. You're not sitting there walking around the house and hanging out for 41 minutes. You want to be in and out in less than 10 minutes. It shouldn't be that long. It shouldn't be that hard. How long do you think it took them to get Nicolas Maduro out of his house? I'm sure once they got their hands on him, they swiftly got him up out the house. They didn't sit there and hang around and sit down at the coffee table waiting for the militia to show up at his house. Okay? You have to apply that same theory with, because they don't know if somebody heard something, if somebody next door is calling law enforcement. They don't know. So they're not going to be sitting there hanging out for 41 minutes. They're getting their target and they're getting the hell out of Dodge. And this is the one thing we are not seeing in this case. We're seeing something very, very clear. Somebody was around that home for 41 minutes. Who in the hell would feel comfortable hanging around a house for 41 minutes? Probably somebody that's been seen at that house before. That would be my suggestion. That would be unless they're a psychopath. Even psychopaths aren't dumb. I'm just saying.
Life is produced early and often. This case has not followed the history of a typical kidnapping at all. What does that tell you?
Maybe.
Well, there's two conflicting points on this. One, as I told you before, with this relatively what appears to be sterile crime scene, you would have these incredibly skilled, and I don't mean that, of course, in a qualitatively good way, but they have these criminal skill sets that they were able to not leave a trace of DNA, a footprint, a fingerprint, a tire print. Again, they didn't trip a...
Again, there was DNA, but probably from people that were already in the house. And I believe it was somebody that was in the house that did this. So they're not finding foreign DNA. Yet we have a violent struggle inside and outside of the home. But no foreign DNA. Interesting. So that means DNA that has been in that house is probably still in that house. I think further supporting my theory that it was somebody that knows her. Because there's no third-party DNA. There's only known DNA. That's a little scary.
license plate reader, manage to turn off any cell phone type of activity, and then you forget the medication. It just, again, it doesn't seem like that's particularly well thought out. How are you going to go out and get the medication afterwards? It's not that easy to go pop in a Walgreens when you know everybody on planet Earth is looking for someone. I mean, it just seems like a lot of conflicting information.
Agreed.
And that's why I say I'm not weighting any of those stories, but clearly at this point, I think we have to consider everything outside the box, because whatever's inside the box is not really panning out right now.
Ah, very, 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 very good information. So we have this statement here from Abby Blabby, and it says there has been some mention in Nancy Guthrie group about an older septic tank and bunkers. This was interesting. I wanted to share this photo and comment made by a history teacher. And this is what the history teacher wrote. Someone on here mentioned the other day that they thought their mother probably was right under their nose. They got me thinking and researching about the HS, maybe high school history teacher. So I pulled up a Pima County map from 1960 that shows all the underground bunkers in Pima County that were either under homes, businesses, schools, even today. The Google site gave an Archive County reference number to the map. Google pulled up video on the Titan missile silo that is now a museum with vast underground networks of halls and rooms ventilated with electricity. The underground silo is closed off to the museum visitors, but it's a long shot, but whoever has her hidden probably has her very close to them so they can come and go and still mingle around the community to gauge the situation. This was someone that knows her or her family, familiar with the area and probably living there. You find Miss Guthrie, you find who took her. That's my reasoning. What do you guys think? And then they have an attachment. I'll get back to your stuff. Here it is. So, as you can see, there's a general layout of the property. Oops, Dad, burn it. Sorry about that. Layout of the property. Let's see. And then you get this one. This is North Camino. So this is installed. And it kind of tells you where it's at. And so I think it's this red spot right here is where so we have the patio right here. We have the guest house right here. So it looks like, let's just pull this down. Existing system right here. And then they have an existing one right here by the guest house. 196 gallon tank. This was stated for 1991. And then we've got one here with a question right here. And they say existing system right here. Existing utilities. So well, it looks like we got a tank here and potentially a tank here and something right here in little. So it's definitely very interesting to look at, and it's definitely something that needs to be considered. But to think of underground bunkers in Arizona and then having halls and ventilation and electricity, is this a possibility? It seems like it very well could be. I wonder if somebody planned it or have been taking pills here and there, taking her. It's possible. I would think that they would have been able to count her pills to make sure whether she had them or not. So I don't know. You know what I think? It seems more and more interesting that she went over to their house. She was there for a significant amount of time. Like, she didn't get home for almost 4 hours. 4 hours. That's long. I mean, going over for dinner usually is a couple hours. But, you know, like I go over to my best friend's house, you know, on Saturday, and I'm there all day. I get home at like 6:30, 7 o'clock when I go over there, but I'm there about 9:30 in the morning. I don't go over there. I mean, it was a Saturday. Why didn't she get we have so many questions about this. So many questions. Why? I don't know if we're going to ever know until Annie speaks up. And Annie's maintaining her silence. Savannah's speaking. Hey, Emma, it's nice to see you. Savannah's speaking, but not Annie. Annie's the one with all the answers. Annie's the one that knows what happened over at her house. And clearly, she doesn't have anything to hide. She's letting law enforcement go into her house. So why isn't she coming up and just speaking about and answering some questions about what happened that night? If this could put some people, to rest a little easy, I hope that at minimum comes out what happened that evening, who ultimately truly did take her home, and why is it being such a secret? Why are they keeping it such a secret to know definitively who dropped her off at home, and was this a normal evening? Is this something they do every week? And if it's not, why did they choose to do it this night? And what provoked them to go over to their mother's house? And if it was a churchgoer, who? Is it somebody that they know? And if they received a call at 11, why did it take them an hour to go over there for their disabled mother? So, I mean, we've got a lot of questions that only Annie and Tommaso are going to be able to answer, yet they're not answering it. So, and Savannah is begging for our help, and my heart bleeds for her. I'm so sorry that Savannah is going through this, but this is her family, and sometimes the hardest thing that we have with family is removing blinders, if there are some. I'm not saying that there are blinders on here. I'm just saying that we, as the true crime community, in my opinion, could move off this fence if we had a little more information that Annie has. Was that a normal night? Was it a normal dinner? Who truly brought her home? Was there any disagreements that evening? Are her and Tammaso in a healthy marriage, or is their marriage starting to fail? Nobody wants to answer those questions, and I understand they're extremely personal and private, but we have a very personal and public situation with a grandmother missing, and two people, potentially three people, seeing her last, and we just want to know what happened. And we're being asked for a lot of help out here, and we're providing it. No questions, with questions asked. But nobody's answering the questions we have. So I understand that there's only so much they can provide, but at this point, the ransom's over. Okay, so it came and went. She's not been found. It looks like it was a hoax, as many of us believed it was. So where do we go now? Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos flags foul play, not ruling out kidnapping. The home is a crime scene with evidence. She did not leave on her own. FBI agents note Cellbrite phone data extracts and possible cross-border leads to Mexico, which I don't believe is possible. I think they've ruled that out. No homicide upgraded yet, but skepticism grows over ransom authenticity via AI analysis. We've even analyzed everything, and it's posing to be not good for us. And then, of course, we have Dan Bongino outlining 3 scenarios: targeted ransom kidnapping, botched burglary with fake ransom, or medical emergency cover-up. Did they get into a fight and she lose her life? But I don't think it's a medical emergency cover-up, because there's significant blood on the outside of that front door. There was a violent altercation. Somebody was angry. Somebody hurt this grandmother. And nobody's going to convince me otherwise. I believe she was dead before she left that house. Neighbors saw a chilling signs. Expert push multiple abductor due to her frailty. Social media armchair detectives on X, Reddit amplify tips but spread rumors like psychic claims she's nearby. Expert warns this hinders police. Listen, I'm so sick of law enforcement saying this hinders. Law enforcement has to work in front of cameras, just like they have to work without the cameras. If they're not paying attention to the stuff online, then they don't have to worry about it monkeying with their investigation. They follow the leads where the leads go. It doesn't matter if they asked for the public. When the public comes in, we come in with force, right? They knew what they were signing up for before they made this a national interest case, a worldwide case. They knew what they were doing. Chris Nanos even stood up on his podium and stated that he knows that this is going to make them work harder. He understands the process. He still did it. So the deadline passed without proof of life. Did the family pay? It's our position from information that I've received that account is empty. Okay, that account is empty. They did not pay the ransom from what I'm understanding. The 41-minute window. That's going to be where I think we're going to focus the majority of our time, is 41 minutes. 41 minutes, because this, in my opinion, eliminates the possible abduction for profit ransom, right? Because when we're accustomed to seeing ransoms, we're accustomed to smash and grabs, okay? They smash into the home, they grab the subject, they leave their demands, they take the subject with them. They reach out to the family later, usually with a proof of life, even cutting off an ear, cutting off a finger, pulling a tooth, something they can test to say, yes, this belongs to their loved one. We got none of that, right? We got none of that. It wasn't until the conversation came up about the ransom, and it was after that the ransom reared its ugly head by email, nonetheless, demanding USD. They withheld that from us. And they withheld that from us, and in my opinion, intentionally. And I do believe it was a red herring, and I believe that the majority of the people involved knew it was. But it was a way to give them breathing room from the public. I always think the strategy that works the best with the public is the strategy that Moscow, Idaho used. It was not a seamless strategy, and I'm sure the strategy required a lot of work, but that's why you have public information officers and a team behind them to do all this grunt work, so it takes the pressure off law enforcement. And when you don't have a proper PIO or PIO structure, it can cause hindrance in high-profile cases like this. But one of the things that I think the Idaho 4 did brilliantly, and I'd like FBI to start using that as their template for handling high-profile cases and handling social media, it's keeping people structured to talk about what they are releasing. They were very clever on how they did their media. Listen, I watch this stuff all over the country. We covered a lot of different types of cases, from children to quadruple homicide out in Moscow, Idaho, to a 5-year-old girl in Hawkins County, to a 5-year-old boy in Fruitland, Idaho, disappearing. We've covered these cases boots on the ground, okay? I've seen literally the best in law enforcement and the absolute worst in law enforcement. And what I'm hearing in this, the worst in law enforcement I've seen had a floor here. In this case, I mean, it's bad, okay? This how they're handling of this case, it is bad. But the sheriff is nice. It makes it hard to be critical, but we have to be, even nice sheriffs. So we got a lot of problems here in this particular case, but one thing that I can say that I hope to see more and more of is the policy that Idaho 4, they kept, even when they didn't do press conferences, they had press releases every day to every other day. And these press releases, basically reiterated the same information. Even at the top, they would say we have no new information at the time, and then they'd go through the details of the case, and they would go through all of the leads. They every time they would always have the updated leads, how many leads they processed, how many detectives that are on the case, how many square miles they've searched. You know, they always put stuff that was just irrelevant, but allowed people to talk about the case and not monkey with the case. You know, yeah, people got crazy and still pointed the finger at this person or that person or, you know, whatever the case may be. But the majority of the people out there were always waiting with bated breath on that release. You know, they were waiting for that press release to find out what their talking points were going to be for that day, you know, and that was really, it really worked for social media. Maybe they thought it was a little crazy because it was a crazy case and so many people were attracted to that. And so many people were getting they just wanted clicks and views. So they would just say any outlandish thing that they could say. So I understand that in some respects, you're never going to get away from that. But for the totality of it, at least a lot of people were waiting for those press releases and were talking about the stuff in the press releases, predominantly where they had areas of interest, right? People could go and search those areas of interest. You know, they gave areas for people to go putz around it, you know, to keep them away from their search. It was just brilliant. It was really brilliant. And I wish law enforcement would do more, because I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly of this business. I've seen, you know, we've been very aggressive in our stance in this early on. We've toned a lot of it down, you know, because we're more known. I mean, it's kind of hard to pop up like we used to. Nobody knew us back then. Now we're a little bit more known. So it's kind of hard to keep your cover like we could before. So you got to change strategy. You know, you can't use the same strategy over and over and over and over again, right? Sometimes you can, but our strategies are public. It's in the public eye when we do these things. So I have a lot of tools in my toolbox that I use. Sometimes it's just coming in very strong. Sometimes it's just, you know, being just as quiet as a mouse and just keeping my eyes and ears open, you know, you know, like you guys do from the bushes, right? So sometimes different strategies work in a case. I don't know what strategies are going to work in this case. All I know is I feel like it's somebody close to this woman. I don't feel like they're looking close enough. I believe that she's around there. I believe she's somewhere, you know, within a few miles of the house, you know, within 2-3 miles of the house, or 2 or 3 miles from the assailant's comfort zone. You know, I do believe that. I believe wherever she's at is in somebody's comfort zone. And listen, guys, if you want to look at Tammaso as a possible subject, well, then you need to find out where his comfort areas are, right? Because he's not from this country. So the only places that he's been have been the places that he's been since 2006. So, I mean, out of everybody in this freaking free world of people that could be, that the public could think are suspicious, it's a guy that's only been here since 2006. So we know that his only area that he's been in, that he knows, you know, like the back of his hand, is that general area. He doesn't know much more than that general area. Even in 20 years, he probably hasn't expanded too much outside of that general area. So if you're thinking that then it should be easy, because he's only going to work in a specific area. So we need to find a comfort area that he's comfortable in, that he knows he can work in, that is completely away from anybody but you know, everything here seems to be far away. So it seems like people can work under the dark. So, I don't know. Folks. I don't know.
Reporting that the Bitcoin account allegedly set up to accept the funds, the money, in exchange for Nancy Guthrie remains empty at this hour.
Empty, folks.
An apparent ransom deadline of 5 p.m. Arizona time is fast approaching. So, yeah, now we're 4.5 hours away. You and I were talking off camera.
So I wanted to let you know, because I always like to try to show you guys my receipts when I have them, when I make something and you're like, where did you hear that from? The one thing that you will always find out on the Bullhorn Betty channel is we try to show you our receipts. We don't just make outlandish claims like the account remains empty out this time. We're learning it from a resource. We have a source here that says the account remains empty. They're looking and monitoring this account. The account's empty. So it sounds like it stayed empty for the remainder of the day.
And I know you can't share every detail, but when it comes to even an IP address to figure out the ransom note and maybe what's coming next in this whole thing after that 5 p.m. deadline, you can get to that. You can't tell us every detail, but what can you share?
Right. So there's different elements that we're looking at right now. You're looking at the ransom emails, right? That's in and of itself its own topic.
So we're getting some, you can tell that, like, even with Dan Bongino, there's a lot of stuff the feds have that we, the public, have no earthly idea how they're used. And we're never going to learn how they're used because whenever they get a lead from their resources that they're using behind the scenes that we have no idea, they present it as a lead. And you know why they do that way? So they don't have to come to court and explain all this. They don't want to explain this. They can't explain this. If they had to explain their practices and procedures and their stuff that they do behind, it would be a smorgasbord for criminals. They would know exactly what to avoid. So they can't. These are the things.
Let's start there.
The masked IP addresses. People think, I'm going to send an email. It's going to be masked. No one's ever going to track me down. False.
Tried telling you guys that. I tried telling you guys that. How many of you guys have been on my show where I told you your masking of IP address is people think that they're untraceable when they mask their IP address, and I say that's why I don't invest in a VPN. It's a waste of money because if I'm trying to not be tracked, it's because I'm trying not to be tracked by the popos, okay? Okay, I'm born, but the advertisements are going to track me no matter what, okay? People, they don't give you services without being paid for them, okay? Nothing in this world is free, folks, okay? And anything in this world that's free is probably not, not worth it. I don't know. But let's listen. Let's keep listening.
The FBI has the ability to unmask IP addresses.
Told ya.
I know because I've done it, and I've seen it happen in large cases that have gone to court and been federally upheld, and so it is absolutely possible. But what it requires is digging through certain layers of information. That does take time, but it is possible.
Boom. Okay, so there you guys go. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew. Can you? Yes, you can. Guys, I've got about 15 more minutes, and I've got to run.
Do you think 9 days are enough time?
That's a good question. Like I said, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of. And so law enforcement is not going to show their hand right now. They're not going to show everything that they're capable of doing. Certainly not the FBI, because that's what they do. They keep it quiet and confidential to maintain the integrity of the investigation. But I think you've got the ransom email. Again, we've all been talking about it. It's either legitimate, they're a hoax, or they're a false flag and a distraction. And we're about
false flag and a distraction
to find out. Those ransom emails may have absolutely nothing to do with Nancy and her whereabouts.
And we've said that as well. We've been making sure that we keep you guys up to date with information as truthful as possible, okay? I'm the first person, if I think somebody did it, I will stand on my hill and condemn them from this show, okay? And this one has been one of those things where I'm not ready to condemn somebody yet because it could be, we're still in the whodunit phase, okay? Once we get out of the whodunit phase and we have our eyes, pointed at a specific person, yeah, we're going to be all on it. But this one hasn't revealed itself. It was very easy for Sebastian. It was very easy for Summer Wells because everything kept going back to their homes. And so, but it still, we still had to look, we still had to search, we still had to, look up under the hood and see what was going on. But for both of those cases, it always came back to their home.
But on the flip side, they may. And that's, again, what the family's working with the FBI to determine what's the legitimacy of this. Now, when we look at, the masking of the IP addresses, that's one way to mask their identity. The other way that everyone's talking about is Bitcoin. Back in the day, it was, hey, we'll give you cash. Hey, we'll send it here. Not anymore. Bitcoin is highly sophisticated for individuals, and it is something that we knew that in the FBI we were getting trained on their techniques, and they use it for a purpose. But every single transaction is recorded and documented on the blockchain, and that is visible. You can see that. But what you may not be able to see.
And I'm reading about this blockchain, okay? I just to let you know, I've been hearing about this blockchain. I've been doing some research. I don't quite understand how to identify the blockchain yet, but I'm working on it, okay? I once I understand what I'm doing, I'm going to show you guys, okay? We also have some educational type of classes, or podcasts coming up too, where we're going to be breaking down some stuff for you guys to help educate you, so you guys have knowledge. Because when I have the knowledge and I don't share it with you, then I have to do all the work myself. When I start sharing you guys some knowledge and teaching you guys some different things, then you guys know what to look for. You start picking this stuff up. You start sending this stuff to your favorite, true crime content creators, and it helps. It helps. So we're going to be going over some stuff that I think is best practices that maybe, in one of our downtimes when we don't have a whole lot going on, we'll do it at that point. But it will be upcoming. It's developing now.
Initially is a non-traceable wallet. But again, with certain investigative techniques and things that the FBI can do, they can get to the bottom of that. But the key is, if you ever want to cash in that money, so let's say you get $6 million, what good is that if you can't actually utilize that? In order to cash that in with a U.S. institution, you're going to have to provide a name, a social security number, identifiers in order to use that. You could let it sit in the wallet indefinitely, but what good is that? Or, again, I'm not going to go into any ideas. There's other things that, again, the FBI, I'm just going to leave it at that.
What if we were able to find the missing, wallet keys? If I went and transferred the money, would you guys be saying, I found it? Finders keepers, losers weepers. I mean, ownership is 9/10 of the law. No, it's not. No, it's not, by the way. No, it's not. It's proof of ownership, okay? That's how you do it.
Okay, yeah, I think you better. So, Paul, the end-to-end transaction, if you will, the beginning of it with the money in the account hasn't happened. What does that mean?
Interesting. I'd like to know that, too.
I think it means that there is no level of trust there from the Guthrie family because they have not gotten any proof of life. And I think that there's got to be still some real question as to whether or not the two notes are coming from the people who actually have their mother, because...
And that's where we're at. All right, guys, we're going to pick up this topic later this afternoon when I get back from, I'm not physically leaving my house today. I usually do make a physical appearance, but we've been having some technical issues. We've got new equipment here, and it just needs to be hooked up. And it's very complicated for me because I'm not an IT person, so I have to research all this stuff and, worry about it. I think I've already researched it, but right now I just need to undock my camera and get a new camera card in there. Once I put a new camera card in there, we should be on the new camera, and that'll take a lot of pressure off my computer. And once the encoder is hooked up, then that'll take a lot of encoding processes off my computer. We'll have we should have a stream that doesn't have any type of fluctuation and stuff in it. But right now we're in a growing, and we got a breaking news case where I'm researching around the clock. I haven't had time. So clearly this morning, it really frustrated me that we went down again. So I know that we need to get the new equipment hooked up so we can quit having some technical issues, because when I'm in a rush, it always happens when I'm in a rush. When I have all the time in the world, we have no problems with our production. It's when I'm cutting to the wire, I'm like coming up on the wire, and it's like, I need to get this done. I need to get this done. I need to get this done. And it's like, boom, nope, not today, right? And it's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So anyways, I'm so happy. Oh, giggles. It's nice to see you, love bugs. So I'm so happy to see you guys all. Come back here later this afternoon. If you guys have not subscribed to this, and don't forget that thumbs up. We don't ask a lot from the people that come over here and watch us, right? If you want to donate to our cause, please do. We're so appreciative of that, but it's not required and it's not expected, but it's definitely appreciated. However, the one thing that we hope everybody does is I put a lot of time and effort into these shows, going and looking at all this stuff, making sure that we explain everything to you so you guys aren't out there and looking stupid in other people's chats, like some people do when they spread around bad and misinformation. We like to make sure that you guys look like you guys show up with the suit on. You guys are flashy and stuff like that. You come in there like, hey, I got the intel, I got the key, right? That's what we want for you. And so the only cost that we ask for you is this right here. That's it. Just push it. That's all you got to do. That's the only cost to come here and have an hour to 2 hours of time to discuss, talk to friends, wake up in the morning, have a great day, and be sent on your way. So the only cost for this show is this right here. So please go out there and hit that thumbs up button for me, and I'd greatly appreciate it. God bless each and every one of you. I hope you have an amazing day. I've got to advocate for my community, so that's what I'm going to be doing the rest of the day. But once that is done, I promise you, we will be getting back to the Nancy Guthrie case. Hopefully we have some insight. We've already heard from Sheriff Nanos. He said that they've got new leads. There's going to be an invigorated new search and law enforcement presence at both the Guthries' homes. So hopefully we start getting down to where we get some information. And like I said, I was going to go out there and we were going to go to Alec Murdaugh, which I was supposed to leave for tomorrow. And we've canceled that because this case is kind of swallowing all of you guys whole. If we had the audience to go to Alec Murdaugh, we were going to do it. It's a case that I've been covering from the very beginning, but I can tell you, nobody will tune in because everybody's got their eyes affixed on the Nancy Guthrie case. So we went ahead, instead of wasting the money, we went ahead and pulled back on that. We're going to take the $220 and apply it to, it sounds like we all agreed to Sebastian. We haven't decided on what we're going to do with what we're going to purchase with the money yet. So I want you guys to think about it. Some of the things would be some signs. We're going to have some that are designated for Sebastian specifically, but get some new signage. And we could even get a big pop-up of Sebastian like they did for Gabby. I don't know how long that would take to get that in, but if we're going to do something like that, it's going to have to be now. But I think that is going to be about $220, maybe a little more or less, just right around that budget, where we could get, the Gabby size, the one that was out front of Brian Laundrie's house. We could do something like that with Sebastian Rogers and say, have you seen me? Just like we did for her. We could do something like that, or we could do some regular signs that we can take to our events. We can do something like getting some lanterns. Those things, they cost a little bit of money, but we can get some lanterns and some candles and maybe some glow sticks for an evening event on the 26th to set off those for Sebastian. There's a lot of stuff we can do, so I want you guys to think of it. I was going to ask you this morning, but I'm running out of time right now, and I need to get to my meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys think about it, and we'll discuss it this afternoon on what we want to do with that $220. But we do have $220 to spend. That was going to be applied to the Alec Murdaugh case. We're not going to Alec Murdaugh because of this case. And so I don't want to, we do have that money set aside for Alec Murdaugh, and it needs to be applied somewhere because it wasn't my money. It was money to get me somewhere. So anyways, guys, I'll let you guys think about it. We'll talk about it this afternoon. You guys have a great day.